Alright guys, how's it going? My name is Nyxre and welcome back to another episode of The Good, The Bad, and The Teemo, where today I'll be covering Support Ashe. Once again, here's a reference guide for today's video. These are provided at the beginning of every episode in the series for anyone who may be interested in seeing how I went about testing this specific build. I'd just like to note that Support Ashe doesn't really have a set in stone build, and it will vary wildly depending on your personal preference along with how well or poorly you are doing in each game. For anyone interested, an imgur link to this guide can be found down in the description below. So starting off with the good things about Support Ashe, she has some of the most annoying early game CC and poke available. Your W is on a very low cooldown and costs relatively low mana, so you're easily able to spam it and try to harass your opponents. It has respectable base damage, so you should try and abuse this to get your lane an early lead. Along with this, simply just by being Ashe, you provide plenty of soft crowd control with your volley and your autos. This allows for both you and your AD carry to poke out the enemy laners, as they won't have the movement speed required to run away. This can prove to be very useful if you are laning against a bot lane with a melee support, as they'll continuously have to heal themselves or drink their potions in order to remain in lane for extended periods of time. Alternatively, you can use your volley on the minion waves to try and push your way to an early level lead, as it is able to damage most if not all the minions with a single shot. Just be careful while doing this because it's easy to steal a few minions from your AD carry if you get a bit too aggressive. One of the overlooked aspects of Ashe's kit is her hawk shot, but while playing support it becomes a bit more vital to your success. It has the ability to provide your team with long range vision, which can provide your team with a bit of extra peace of mind regarding the enemy team trying to sneak an objective. You can also keep your entire team safe in the laning phase by sending a single shot all the way up the river. In a sense, it acts a bit like a delayed blue trinket, which can allow for another member of your team to either keep their yellow trinket or trade it for a red trinket for some more vision denial. And lastly, one of the best things about playing Ashe support is the global range stun that you bring to the rift. Your crystal arrow can easily turn a teamfight into your favor by stunning several enemies at once, and because of its long range it's capable of catching the enemy team off guard if shot from the fog of war. You can also use it as a form of engage, alternatively, use it to follow up engage from another member of your team. Either way, landing your crystal arrow is all but guaranteed to secure your team a kill or two. Now moving on to the bad things about Support Ashe, she does absolutely no damage in the late game. This isn't terrible, as many other supports are also in this situation, but Ashe in particular does no damage when playing support because you won't have the same itemization required to make Ashe an incredibly potent champion. She is strong when building a lot of critical strike chance, and as a support you'll never be building items which provide it. This will put increased emphasis on your volley and your ultimate for their utility, as it won't prove to be any threat to the enemy team once they've obtained 2 or 3 items. This ties into the other bad thing about Support Ashe, which is that she is almost entirely skill shot based. All of her abilities outside of her Q, which you won't be worrying about because you're playing support, are skill shots. Not landing your abilities will effectively make you useless, as you won't have the damage to back it up like you normally would. Granted, all of her abilities have a relatively large hitbox, so they aren't the hardest skill shots to land, but a highly mobile champion can still easily dodge them regardless, particularly because of how slow your crystal arrow is. Now moving on to the Teemo. This is a section that covers the worst issues of playing Ashe this way, and are the reasons why you would probably pick something else instead. One of the most glaring issues of Support Ashe is her complete lack of mobility. This is one of the biggest issues of Ashe in general, and is why she currently isn't a top tier AD carry, but as a support it's a bit more of a handicap as you aren't able to return any damage to try and save yourself. While you do have your crystal arrow, it's really not going to help as any form of disengage because the stun will be incredibly short if the enemy is right next to you. On top of this, Ashe is a very squishy champion, and with this build you won't have any sustain to make up for it. This is really bad in the current meta as champions like Alistar, Nami, and Soraka are all valued for their ability to continuously heal their lane duo to full health, and provide disengage with one or more of their abilities. Ultimately, Ashe doesn't provide any of this, so you're much better off hanging out in the backline and trying to provide some soft crowd control while protecting the rest of your team. But anyways, that's all I have regarding Support Ashe. I was expecting this build to be a bit better than it was, but after trying it out for a while, I don't think I can say it was all that great of a build. Ashe does have several aspects of her kit that can make her an okay support, but her complete lack of damage, sustain, and mobility make her more of a hindrance to the rest of your team in the late game than anything else. Feel free to leave a like if you did enjoy the video, and subscribe if you are new around here and would like to see more. If you didn't like the video, feel free to leave a dislike. All I ask is that you leave a comment with what you believe I could have done better, so that my future content can continue to improve. But anyways, that's all I have for you guys in this video. I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one.